Oh, it's a pig! Welcome to the Lake Erie Kayak Anglers Podcast, the podcast designed to make you a better angler. I'm Chuck Earls with Lake Erie Kayak Fishing.com. Today we have Billy Chambers with us from the Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail. We're going to talk about a little bit about the different series, what you guys have offered, and just kayak tournament fishing in general. Billy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I really appreciate you having me on here.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Before we get into the kayak fishing, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh my gosh. Whenever someone asks that question, I always feel like I should start with one of the most important things, and that's I'm a dad. So I'm a dad. I have 4 kids. My current employer that I'm at, I've been there 11 years now, and I've been in the same industry. I won't get into all that because that's boring, but I've been at the same employer for 11 years. So they all think that I have little kids because when I started, I had a one that had just went into kindergarten, and then so she was like 6, and then I had maybe a 5-year-old, and then a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So they're all super close together in age, and I had boy girl, special ordered them that way. And but no, now they're older. The oldest is, if you can do that math that I just laid out there, she'll be 18 in October, and then I have a 16-year-old who he's gonna get out there and do some tournament fishing with me this year. He did a little bit last year, but I think that's the most important thing. Father of 4 kids, and really enjoy it. And I've been fishing my whole life. Got into kayak fishing kind of by accident. I had a couple of mountain bikes back in the late 90s, and it really wasn't like I couldn't find anywhere in Central Ohio that I really liked to go mountain biking. I bought these bikes and all the ads were like Colorado and places like that. And then I'm like, Reynoldsburg and Bexley, Pickerington doesn't have that much to offer. So we have streams around and creeks and stuff. So I actually made a good deal with a guy. I traded for some kayaks it was Galleons at the time, which is now Dick's Sporting Goods. But I bought 2 Dagger 10.5 I think it was Blackwater, is that what they're called? Man, it's been so long now. I still have one of them, but it was a little wreck boat, and just wanted to go out and just have fun. And then it probably wasn't until maybe 2003 that I actually started fishing out of it. And then I guess fast forward to right before COVID, I bought my first real kayak that I was just like, I'm going all in on this tournament angling, and joined Bkft on their committee, and I really enjoy the behind the scenes and really getting other people involved and introducing the sport to new people. But I guess it was March of 2020. I bought a PA 14 360. It was when the 360 was brand new. It's funny because a lot of people ask me, like, how do you like that 360 drive? And I'm like, I don't know any different. So, but no, man, that's me, Yeah.
That's what you're in now?
Yeah. I have the PA. It's a 2020 PA 14. And then I recently also bought a compass. I bought the 2022 compass. So shout out to Strictly Sail down in Blue Ash, near Cincinnati. So, it's the 2022. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying they made some upgrades to that compass. The seat on it is the same seat that they put on the inflatables and the Lynx, all aluminum, super light boat. I can use my wheels from my PA to cart that little guy around. And I took it out Sunday. Huge shout out to you because I wore my dry suit, my semi-dry suit. Water temperature was like 45, air temperature was 38. Literally a lifesaver. If I had, I was in a brand new boat that I'm used to the PA, and then I'm in a lot smaller boat. I could have easily tipped it. I didn't. So,
right.
But that's what I'm in now. The 360, the PA.
Nice. Yeah, Strictly Sail has some great kayaks over there. They are also an Old Town kayak dealer. So if you're looking for an Old Town, I'll be heading that way very shortly to pick up the grand prize for the kayak division for the Lake Erie Walleye Fall Brawl.
Woo! Grand prize.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which one is
It'll
it?
be nice. Big Water 132 pedal drive.
Okay. Wow. How many kayaks do you personally own?
Right now I own 3. I need to get a few more.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where that was going to go either. You could have said anything from 3 to like 30, and I wouldn't know. I'm like, when I asked that question, I literally had no idea what you were going to say.
Yeah, I have one boat. Well, I still have the Pungo hanging in the garage too. The Wilderness Systems Pungo 140. And then I have it's a native Manta Ray Propel 12. It's a great boat. It's kind of like a Hobie Outback. But it's just a little small for my clients for big water. For the smaller clients, the younger people, it's great. My older clients, I'd rather them be in a big water in a more stable boat. Just more comfortable, more room for them. So I think I'm gonna get rid of that one. Probably add a couple of Old Towns to the fleet. I do have I know they're kind of impossible to get from the factory right now. Old Town's telling me that it's going to be like next year. But, if you're looking for an Old Town, you need to go to the dealer now. Your local dealers are the ones that are going to have them.
Wow. Man, I remember growing up and like Old Town was always, every time you saw a canoe, you saw someone hitting the creek and going out, it would always be Old Town canoes. And, it was always whitewater and then some wreck boats. But isn't it kind of crazy to think about? And huge shout out to Old Town for really pivoting and seeing a market and then going after it and then going all in on the kayak stuff. Even when I was down, I fished in the Bassmaster Classic down in Texas, and they had like Old Town had a whole demo set up at the board check-in, and they were letting people check out the boats, and they had beverages they were giving away and all that. The guys were super nice, and then I'm looking around, I see all these anglers wearing their jerseys, and it's like all like it's obvious that they're on like Old Town pro team or whatever, and I'm like, man, this is crazy because I was when I bought my Hobie, I was thinking Hobie was and still in my opinion still is like one of the best, but there's just so many kayak companies out there, and now with the motors, and then because it was like the pedal drive with the Hobie kind of set Hobie apart a little bit, and then
Right.
with the pedal drives with the other kayaks, it was cool. But now with the motor, I even have a buddy went on a Florida trip, and he has a new canoe Unlimited. I think that thing's like 41 inches wide. You talk about your clients that want a stable boat. I'm looking at this boat like, geez, he caught, it was Matt Davis who fishes out of that. He caught like almost a 24-inch bass in Florida, and he got his foot tangled on something, and he tripped in his boat, and he just fell down with the almost 24-inch bass in his hand. He fell down in his boat. And he made a comment to me later, like, hey, if I was in my other boat, I would have flipped it. I was like, that's true. Yeah. So.
Well, one thing I want to point out is stability is not purchased, it's earned. So Matt obviously has a lot of time on the water. It's one of those situations where you catch yourself, and he probably would have went in, but he knew better, and that's when he hit the deck. I've had situations where I was standing throwing a cast net in a river or something like that, and it snags on your rod holder as you're going around. You lose your balance, and you start going over, you sit down, you get your balance back before you actually do flip over. But with that being said, those kayaks are very stable, but anything, it's not a fact of the kayak flipping over. It could just toss you off. Like the Old Town's good with that. If you get both shoulders outside, it's just going to throw you out of the seat.
Okay.
You know, now when it does flip is when you reach to the opposite side and you try to grab the handle to stop yourself from going in, and then the kayak just goes with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do a lot of re-entry practice out there. Um, and it just builds up that comfort level because you set that stability there. You set that barrier, you know. So kind of like in one of my YouTube videos where um my buddy is reaching out trying to net that fish, and when he gets to the point where the kayak's about to go over, you know, subconsciously he knows to lean back the other way and kind of save itself. And that's something that just learns, you know, you get from re-entry practice and just experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the old days with the old wreck boat, like the Dagger that I had, it was almost like a whitewater kayak where your thighs and your hips were kind of wedged up inside, and you had
Right.
100% control. People would ask me sometimes, like, "Do you flip that boat?" I'm like, "I flipped it one time when I was brand new, but once you have your hips, like you have total control." But with these sit on tops and all that, you get so comfortable being, you feel stable, and then to your point, I think we all need to well, I don't want to speak for everyone. I need to practice flipping it and flipping it back over and doing that. And I definitely want to get my son out there and make him in warm water, make him flip the compass, and then watch him get back in. And well, I'll teach him how to do it, but
Right.
then I want to see him do it because even, you know, I guess as a parent or even a friend, if you had a buddy that flipped, just knowing that they have the experience. I mean, they may be 200 yards away. You think they're close, but you know they need to be able to handle their business out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I don't
You
plan
know,
to
it's
flip anytime soon, but got to be
no.
prepared.
But you know, when it does happen, you already know what to do. You know, you don't have to figure out how to actually get back in your kayak when you're in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. I remember going whitewater rafting down in West Virginia when I was in my early 20s, and I remember seeing, you know, you could pay. They probably still do it now, but I haven't been in. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna date myself. I just turned 46 last week, so I'm old. Um, I saw you could pay extra money for a high adventure package. So instead of having like 10 people on the raft, it was a smaller raft, and there was only 4 people. So it was 3 buddies and then the guide. And he was like, "Oh, come on, we're gonna flip this in this spot. We're gonna flip the raft on purpose. We're gonna go over a swim. It'll be fun." And we flipped, you know, whatever. We did it. He just like he promised. We flipped, and then I saw him grab, you know, and he had that bag on the side of him with the strap, and he climbs up on there. He goes down. He clips the strap on there, and then he does like a back. He just jumped backwards into the water, and the raft flipped over. And I was like, he like in my mind, he was like a superhero. I was like, that guy's like Spider-Man. Like, what did he just do? You know, and then I kind of talked to him a little bit about it later, and he's like, yeah, it's just like when you're helping someone back in the raft, you think you're going to pull them up. You're not going to do that. Grab a hold of them and then fall back into the boat, and your body weight will pull them into the boat.
Yep.
And I always thought that was fascinating, and it was fun. I also remember seeing a small, so this was back in, again, late 90s, I guess. I saw a small whitewater guy who was, back then they would do photography and videography. So there was like a whitewater guy, and like, and I'm totally into photography and videography, right? There was a guy that was his job to take photos and film it in a whitewater kayak, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. And then in between boats or whatever, I saw the guy pull the rod out, and he starts fishing for smallmouth on the New River. And I was just like blown away, like, oh my gosh, what a life. You know, that's kind of what you do. He was like Chuck Earls before I knew Chuck Earls was a thing. I don't want to call you a thing, but you know what I mean.
Right. Well, he was in a lot more challenging kayak. That would be like me and the Pongo, that 14-foot sit inside kayak. Probably like you and the Dagger.
Yeah, I actually did. When I first bought the Dagger, I bought neoprene spray skirts, and the opening was just. I mean, if it was like an inch bigger, probably wouldn't have worked. But I had spray skirts, and I learned to Eskimo roll the Dagger, And it's definitely a technique, and being upside down in a kayak and trying to kind of, muscle memory to figure out how to get back up. And, that's when you realize that your head really does weigh more than the other part, head first, and then you got to do the Eskimo roll. It was a lot of fun. I probably did it like maybe 10 times, mostly just showing off for friends.
Right.
And then, yeah, as soon as I picked up a rod, I stopped with all the whitewater nonsense. I was like, no, I'm never doing that again. I was hooked on fishing for smallies in the creek.
Yeah, I get that. It's nice to get out there and paddle around or pedal around. But at the end of the day, man, it's the fish. It's I don't know, the tug. The tug is the drug.
Yep. 100%, man.
Speaking of, let's get into the BKFT. I'm looking at the schedule and I don't even know where to start. You guys have so many events. So why don't you tell me a little bit about it? When did the BKFT start?
Well, it started back in 2013, 2012, 2013. So this is actually the 10-year anniversary for BKFT. And I didn't join until I didn't even know tournament fishing. I didn't know that was a thing. Of course, back then you had to have a camera, and then you had to bring your camera to the weigh-in, and then slowly it evolved, whatever. And then, Tourney X came along or whatever. But this is going to be my third full year fishing the tournaments. And I did go back and look at some of the old schedules from over the years, and it started out pretty slow. I think there were some years where there was like 4 or 5 events, and you know what? They could have them on smaller lakes, lakes that we would love to do now, but I mean, everyone's got the itch right now. I mean, spring is coming up, people are ready to go. Could you imagine a first event if we have like 100 anglers, and then we're on a lake where they used to have like 20?
Right.
It's not going to work. So, but anyway, yeah, 2013. And this is the 10th year.
Nice. So you have 3 different sections. You have the tour series, the online series, and the multi-species series. What differentiates those?
Well, the tour series that's kind of like the big leagues of BKFT. So if you're going for Angler of the Year and you know that you're going to dedicate a good amount of time, you can fish at least 6 events, because it's your best 6 scores will qualify you for what we call the Classic. And the Classic is basically, like the Bassmaster Classic, or it's at the end of the year, and it's invitation only. So your top 6 events in the tour series are for Angler of the Year. And then if you want to get started, maybe you're into like some month longs, or you just want to, like I said with my son, I'm going to get him out there and get him used to the catch, photo, release, and, less pressure. There's not people around. There's no weigh-ins and all that stuff. That would be, the online series. And we do have an online warrior at the end of the year. We track the points as well, and you can still get that award. And then the third series is the multi-species series. And I'm going to throw it out there to maybe to your listeners, and they can put in the comments what would be a good name for the multi-species champion. So we have the Angler of the Year for the tour series, the online warrior, and the multi-species series winner. Yeah, I don't know what to call it. So we're going to rename it. So
Master Angler.
Ooh, that would be a good one, because that would be true. Yeah. But and then we can dive into any of those you want, or if there's anything else on the schedule that kind of jumps out as like an obvious, like, hey, explain that a little bit more. I'm not sure.
Well, I'll post the link to the schedule in the description. That way everybody can kind of go through and break through it. I don't think we really have the time to go through all of these, but it looks like you pretty much have an event almost every weekend from mid-April on out.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit I think before we were recording, I talked about being on the committee with Bkft. And in the off season, we get together and we really do break it down and look at all the calendar events, look at the other trails. It's, oh my gosh, it's so much harder than I would have ever thought. But we really do take a lot of things into consideration. And I mean, it could be something as simple as like, Mother's Day. And, last thing you want to do is schedule a fishing tournament on Mother's Day weekend. Talk about having no one attend. They're like, no, I'm not dumb. So we do have a lot of events, but when the first thing someone might notice when they look at the schedule would be there's some little icons next to some of the events. We're the only kayak bass with Bassmaster. It's the kayak series. We're the Ohio ambassador for that trail for the Bassmaster, and there are 3 events that you would earn points. So when you sign up through Tourney X, it's really simple. The first time you do it, it'll ask you want to pay for the event, and then do you also want to pay for the kayak, Bass Nation? And if you check that little box, it'll add the additional whatever the fee is. But this year it's going to be Delaware Lake on May 14th, Mosquito Lake on August 6th. Oh, I love that lake. And then September 24th, we're going out to East West Harbor in the fall. I've never fished East West Harbor in the fall, so I'm looking forward to that too.
That's going to be a great time.
Yeah, is it? I'll have to, maybe when we're done recording, I'll ask you some questions. Have you, what's your favorite between East Harbor or West Harbor?
I mean, either one really.
Yeah. You're like walleye. There's no walleye in the harbor. Are they in the harbor?
They can be, but it's kind of like a getaway on the bad days, and the cool thing about it is there's always a new area to explore. So, you might not go out there and catch some walleye. You might catch greenbacks. You might catch some smallmouth or some crappie or some bluegill, or some catfish, some perch. But it's beautiful. There's tons of wildlife. There's all kinds of areas to explore, all kinds of structure. I don't know. There's everywhere. It's just also magical. It doesn't matter where it is on Lake Erie or in the harbors, in the rivers. They all have their own little special kind of shimmer to them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then East Harbor, also the campground, the state campground is pretty legit.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to some kind of sketchy campgrounds where the showers or the bathrooms weren't as great, I like to take the kids to East Harbor because it's just the facilities are pretty cool. So, and then everything you named as well. It's great. Hey, I got a question for you. Because you think of the harbor being out of the wind, but if the wind kicks up, East Harbor is where I have most of my experience. Man, that can get pretty choppy.
Depending on the direction of the wind.
Oh, I got it. So if it's coming off the lake, it's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll push you back into the corner.
If you have a little bit of shoreline to get protection, you can kind of fare pretty well for the most part. That really comes down to just building your understanding with the forecast and the way that the wind changes the water. So on Lake Erie, a lot of people, they're kind of skeptical on a southern wind. On a southern wind, I mean, until you get about half mile out, you're really not getting that much of an effect, especially on a lighter wind. So you have that shoreline to protect you. Now, if you have 50 miles of flat water for that wind to build, it's definitely going to intensify, and you're going to have that current coming in also.
Got it. Wow. And then I've never fished on the actual main lake in my kayak. So if you're only out like a quarter mile or what, like there's plenty of fish.
Depends on the time.
Okay, that wasn't
for the
like
most part.
Yeah, on a level scale of 1 to 10, how dumb of a question was that?
Not a dumb question at all.
Okay.
It just depends, man. There's so many different species that you can target. you can sit there in the middle of summer and cast from shore and catch sheephead all day long and have a great time. You know, you're going to catch walleye. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the time. Shoreline angling is a little bit of a handicap like that, because you kind of have to wait for the fish to come to you. You know, at least with the kayak, you can kind of go to the fish. Now, if you go along the shoreline and you fish the drop offs, you fish the points, you fish the structure, you're going to find some fish. Is it the fish you're looking for? I don't know, but there's so many different species, you know, catfish, yellow perch. You have the white bass that go out there. Like I said, the sheephead, the walleye. Sometimes you get some steelhead, smallmouth, you know, largemouth. I mean, it's just endless possibilities. And there are some nice structure areas along the shoreline that hold resident walleye most of the year, if not all the year. So you just need to, you know, explore, target those locations. Just look at the map, do a little bit of map structure, think like a fish. If I was a fish, where would I sit? Where would I hide? How would I ambush?
Yeah, I love it. I don't know, man. Maybe that was a dumb question. You were nice about it, though.
No, it's not. It's just when I get that question, it's really like, you're not really a walleye angler. So
right.
What species are you trying to target? Is really like what comes to mind when I get that question. So it's not a dumb question at all.
Yeah.
We're just so fortunate to have so many different species to target, where it's like, hey, do you want to go have a good time? Do you want to go fill the freezer? You know, you want to catch something you never caught before. The kids, I mean, taking a kid drum fishing is like one of the best things ever.
Yeah. Yeah, they fight.
You get a 24, 25-inch drum on there. That kid doesn't stop smiling.
Right.
We will be back after the short break. Today's podcast powered by Amped Outdoors, changing the way you outdoors. Hashtag capacity matters.
Well, since you release these podcasts pretty quick after they're recorded, so I'll give a shout out to, like, right now we have this spring fling going on. That's our online. That's going to be April 1st through 30th. It's too late to sign up if you haven't signed up already, but and then we do have 2 year-long going on. So, and they're both May 1st through October 15th. One is a largemouth year-long, and the other one is a smallmouth year-long. So if you know you're going to be out on Lake Erie, or you know you're going to be, you know, somewhere in Ohio where there's some big smallies, it's your best 5 fish for the entire year. So if you're in other tournaments anyway, a lot of people like to double dip, you know, and have some side things going on. The Bkft online year-long, those are 2 really good tournaments to do. And then, like I said, we have that meeting every year, and we really decided this year that we were going to start the season-long tournaments after the spring fling ended. Because, you know, you'll have some anglers go out in April and just hit these honey holes and, you know, catch 104 inches. And then how does that look towards the year-long? You know, it kind of could discourage people, I guess, you know. So May 1st is when those season-long start. So I'm pretty excited about both of those. And then real quick, the tour series kickoff is going to be sponsored by Strictly Sail, and our whole Bkft, that's our title sponsor, is Strictly Sail. But the opening tournament is a 2-day tournament, April 23rd and 24th, and it's called the Cincinnati Lakes, and we're doing Cowan and Acton, and we threw in a curveball. You can't fish the same lake twice. We're not going to tell you which one you have to fish day 1 or day 2, but you can't fish the same lake twice. And some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. We'll see how it goes. I think there's going to be a really big turnout for that, though.
So here's a good question. If you fish lake number 1 on day 1, at the end of day 1, can you go and pre-fish lake number 2 before the start of day number 2?
Oh, my gosh. I believe the KBF, because we follow KBF rules, I believe KBF wants you off the water by like 4 p.m. So you can't leave and go to another lake. I know that, but I don't know. I think no, you can't. You're not going to be able to do it unless you quit fishing because it's like 40 minutes to the other lake.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, like after because you got to come back for the weigh-in, right? Or the check-in at the end of day one?
Nope. There's just going to be, there's going to be a trophy presentation. So $100 to Big Bag and $100 goes to Big Bass for day one. But there's not going to be a traditional weigh-in. That's going to be at the end of day two.
Gotcha.
Yep. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Even if it was in the rules that you could do it, I mean, you'd get like 10 minutes of pre-fishing or something.
Right.
It's
what
a
are
good
you going to
question,
do? Catch
though.
them at midnight?
Yeah. Also, I always like to say on any podcast, anyone listens to Bkft gets tired of hearing this, but don't listen to anything I say when it comes to rules. Make sure you go to BuckeyeKayakFishingTrail.com and go to KBF and read the rules for yourself. I'm not the rule book. I've tried to help people with basic rules, and if there's like 10 points to the rule, I'll leave out one every time.
Right.
And it's not the same one. It's random. So go read the rules.
That's why they're posted on the website so that you can go through, print it out, highlight it, read it, love it, live it.
Exactly.
One question I have.
All right.
Are motorized kayaks allowed?
Yes. So there's like three national trails. There's actually a fourth one that I'm not real familiar with, but there's the, Bassmaster, and then there's the Hobie Bass Open, and then KBF. Hobie is the only national trail that does not allow motors in the tournament, but you can use it for pre-fishing. But BKFT, since that's probably more specific, the question you asked, we can use motors.
Nice.
Yep. I don't have one, but man, I'm telling you what, the Torqeedos are super fast. I know I'm going to leave out some motor names, so I'm just going to talk about the ones I know about, but that motor guide, that XI3, is that what it's called? With the spot lock. That's
a nice motor.
Crazy. Yeah, I had some buddies in Florida that were trying to recalibrate the GPS, and I didn't know that's what they were doing. I thought they were going in circles, like it was broken.
Right.
But that's like part of the instructions that you purposely drive in a circle. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it like this. There's pretty much two different styles, and it comes down to the fact how you want to fish. So do you want to stay in one spot? You get something with the spot lock, something with autopilot maybe. You want to go fast? You get something like a Torqeedo. So, I mean, they both work just like when you look at Old Town and Hobie. The Hobie fin system works great for some things, but there's some situations where an instant reverse on the Old Town system definitely excels. It's just like a buddy of mine said, there's not going to be one kayak that does everything. It's like a bag of golf clubs. You're not going to go play a round of 9 holes with a putter. You're going to take the whole thing. So just like that with kayak fishing, there's going to be the right kayak for what you're really trying to do. Can you use the wrong kayak? Absolutely. But are you going to enjoy it? Maybe not as much.
Yeah. And I've even made some notes recently. My next YouTube video that I want to make on Billy Kayaks will be, I don't know how many I'm going to come up with, but I'm thinking about doing like a top 10 things to consider before buying a kayak. And I think what's cool is that it's not coming from Strictly Sail or Raccoon Creek or Chad Hoover, because he's done them before. And you're like, everybody knows Chad Hoover's like sponsored by Bonafide, and he loves Bonafide. He still gives like mad shout outs to Hobie, and he loves the PA14. But at the end of the day, he has, Bonafide. So I'm thinking to do maybe a top 10 or just questions, because to your point, there's things that I'll have friends call me and say, hey, I'm going to get a kayak. Like, what should I get? Oh my gosh, what's your budget? Are you going to car top it? You put it in the bed of a truck? Do you have a trailer? Like, I have so many questions for you, and what's the person's height and weight? What's their experience level? How many times are they going to take it out? Skinny water, big water, all those things. So,
right.
Yeah. and there's some of those videos out there already, but man, the options change so quickly that it's like you could just keep putting that video out every 6 months and it's like an iPhone.
Everything's evolving so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where I was going at the beginning. You just triggered my memory when I went on like a rant about, and then all of a sudden I started thanking Old Town for being at the Bassmaster and giving me free beer. But I think that's where I was headed back then when I was talking about it. I cannot believe how fast this sport has grown and how quickly the companies evolve with the product they make. I mean, even like, Yak Attack or Yak Gadget or even like the little accessories and things you want, it used to be all DIY. And
Right.
man, if you just save up a couple bucks, you can go buy something that somebody put a lot of R&D into, and then you're done with it instead of having all this stuff laying around your house or garage like me.
And a much better finished product.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my first camera boom was a DIY, and by the time it was all said and done, I probably had $100 in material, and I don't know, 3-4 hours. A little bit of research, a little bit of sourcing materials, putting it together. It's like, what is your time worth? Well, that just cost, what, $300 to produce,
Right.
$400 maybe. So it's really nice to be able to buy a product off the shelf and just boom, there's a camera, boom, it's going to do what I need. Or like one of the things that I just got was that new Yak Attack Black Pack Pro.
Yeah.
Man, that thing's awesome. I left it in the bed of the truck the other day after tournament day, Saturday night. Woke up Sunday morning, things covered in snow.
No.
Just open up the lid, the snow and water ran off, tackle on the inside's completely dry.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps everything nice and compact.
Yeah. What's your kayak? What are you fishing out of?
It's Old Town Big Water 132 pedal drive
Okay. I think you told me that already, but
with the
memories.
Torpedo Ultralight 1103 on the back.
Mm.
Usually what I do is I have my prop sitting on the port side in my little pocket. I use the Navarre Kayak Fishing tool-free prop nut. That way I don't have drag when I'm using the Torpedo. But if I need to, I get a line wrapped in the Torpedo or anything like that, I can pull my drive up, put my shear pin in, put my prop on, put my prop nut on, and be back operational in 30 seconds.
Oh, nice. Well, how fast are you going with that 1103?
Top speed's about 6.8.
Oh, nice. Wow. Hey, I have I'm not sure how I want to like put this out there too, but I guess a podcast with Chuck Earls is as good a time as any. I have a Strictly Sale is offering a $250 I guess gift certificate for a Torpedo. So if you're looking to buy one of those, and I don't want to step on any of your sponsors if you're already like out there, but if anyone is, if you're going to buy one, I think it doesn't expire until like December of 2023 or something like that. So yeah,
Nice.
I was gonna do like some kind of raffle or a prize or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know. I think someone that's in the market for it, and then if they listen to this podcast and they hear it, I think that's reward people for getting this far into listening to me talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you have anyone reach out to you and ask you about that, yeah, give me a shout. Let me know.
Well, I will definitely drop your contact information down below as well. That way everybody can get a hold of Billy and get a hold of the Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail. Also get a hold of Strictly Sale. Brian Tacey, Tyler Tacey over there. We'll take care of you. Great guys. Like I said, they don't just sell Hobie. They also sell Old Town. So
Yeah, they do.
not that there's anything wrong with Hobie, but I love my kayak. Oh. So it looks like in the multi-species, you pretty much have every species covered. I mean, you have drum, steelhead, you even have hybrid bass, white bass, striped bass, bowfin, muskie, perch, trout, sunfish, rock bass, crappie, largemouth, smallmouth, even carp, walleye, saugeye, channel cat, flathead, or blue, pike, gar.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
Well, the only thing we're missing is that the deadline to sign up for that event, that's called Yak Ohio. So I guess this would be more of an advertisement and just getting the word out there for 2023. We kind of went away from the format of Yak Ohio for a couple of years, and it may have turned some people off of that tournament. So the signups kind of dropped off. But if you're a serious angler and you want to go out and target there's 15 categories, and there will be five scoreable fish in each category. I think it's five, might be three. One angler can have up to 2 scoreable fish in that one category, and then you get points. So if you have the largest walleye, you get first place points for the walleye. If you have the largest bluegill, you get, so you can see where those are 2 different species, but you get the same amount of points. So we're rewarding people for going out and it's just an adventure. The multi-species is a great kind of family thing, or what you were talking about, like drum. Can you imagine going out for drum, perch, catfish on Lake Erie if you were part of this Yak Ohio? So, but then if it's too late and you haven't signed up for that, we also have a dedicated 2 in-person events. One of them is going to be Delaware Lake Crappie event, and the other one is a muskie event on CJ Brown. And then there's 2 online. One of them's Channel Cat, and then we'll wrap up the year with an online crappie. So there's still 4 tournaments left, and then, that Yak Ohio. And I'm signed up for the Yak Ohio. I just posted a 7 1/4 inch bluegill.
Nice.
Monster. What's the biggest
what's
bluegill?
your favorite? What's that?
What's the biggest bluegill you ever caught?
It was probably 9 3/4, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah. What you're asking me my favorite?
What's your favorite species to fish for?
My whole life it was smallmouth. And I think it was because that's all I knew in the creeks, and I never was serious angler about it. Anyway, largemouth. I just love trying to figure out all of the things about largemouth, like why. That's what I want to do now. Why? And I was talking to a buddy earlier about once you get all your techniques down and you get everything figured out, you got your boat, you got your rods and reels and all the baits and all that, and then you go out and you catch a fish. I like to relate fishing to photography. So if I give you a good camera and I put you in position, you can take a good photo and maybe several good photos. But if the light changes, if the weather changes, if things change, and you know why you took a good photo, anyone can put it in manual mode with a good camera and take a good photo. But if you can purposely take photos, that's when you become a photographer, and it's art. And catching fish is definitely, there's a science, but there's an art to it. And that is the part that intrigues me. The largemouth, you hear about them, they need to survive. Obviously they need to eat, but then they also need to not be eaten. So, and then when you start to get into the different things, I remember a time when I didn't know the difference between structure and cover. I thought the word meant the same thing. And once you start to get some of that why, I wanted more and more and more. And so I think largemouth for me is the most challenging. And maybe if I was up around Lake Erie, I could see me taking on the same, because I'm in the middle of the state. I'm in Columbus area. If I was up near Lake Erie, I could easily see the same obsession with either walleye or smallmouth. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ohio largemouth are sometimes shenanigans. Like, it's not the greatest fishing ever. So.
Well, it's challenging. It makes you, like you said, think and dial in, try to figure out the little things, the little stuff that's, why are they biting today? Why are they not biting today? Where are they at? With walleye, you can mark fish all day long, but those fish might not bite. We were out the other day, and we marked fish for miles, but the only fish that were biting were maybe in an eighth of a square mile.
Wow. And do you know why with the, I mean, they get fired up, right? Like walleye?
Yeah, some of it's that, some of it just depends on where they are in the spawn or in their routine. Some of these fish are moving to the spawning grounds. Some of them have already spawned. Some of them aren't quite past the feeding segment of it, so they're more still kind of feeding it on until they move into the spawning grounds.
Yeah. How deep do they spawn?
It just depends.
Okay. I think
You,
smallmouth are kind of that way, right? They'll spawn deeper than you think.
well, there's smallmouth that'll spawn shallow up by the islands, and then we have smallmouth that'll come in, and spawn on like the deeper spots in some of the central basin where they have a little bit of structure to get down on, some reef systems.
Oh wow. How much smallmouth fishing do you do on Lake Erie?
Not as much as I'd want to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Smallmouth are fun, especially Lake Erie smallmouth. They're very big, very aggressive. But most of the time, on the good days, I'm chasing the walleye. Now that I'm doing all this full time, I'm probably going to target smallmouth and largemouth a little bit more just on the blow days. On the days where I can't get out on Lake Erie, it's 10 foot or something like that, something insane. And, I can go and explore some of the other hidden gems that the area has to offer. Like East Harbor, West Harbor, Sandusky Bay, pretty much all the tributaries.
Well, good luck with that, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then, like you said, if it's, I mean, I'm sure you have. Do you have people calling you asking about those trips? Yeah.
Smallmouth trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a couple of smallmouth trips booked coming up.
Okay.
Well, not coming up. I think they're the smallmouth trips. I think we're in late May, early June, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
The
There's
whole
there's a lot of them,
idea.
man. I'm trying to keep them all straight, but I have probably about 25 people booked so far.
Oh wow. Like 25 individual trips.
25 individuals, yeah.
Okay.
One trip is 4 guys, another trip's 5 guys. The rest of them were just singles.
Okay. Yeah, I know I had talked to you before about um, taking my son out. I think that's still on the table, but you know, man, I don't know how I find time to even just do what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's
glad we're doing this though. This is fun
absolutely.
talking to you about this. I'll talk about fishing all day. Sometimes I
Yeah,
do.
that's all I do is talk about fishing.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have it any other way though.
exactly.
Well, what one more question. What are the prizes for these tournaments? I mean, there's way too many to list on this podcast, so definitely click the link below. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 6.
11 maybe.
There's 11 in the tour series, 10 in the online series, a handful in the multi-species series. So there's going to be something that might pique your interest or be close to you, where you don't have to make a trip. You just go down the street, meet some friends, learn some new things. It's really the camaraderie. You know, it's a competition, yes, but it's also like a brotherhood, a fraternity. You know, men and women alike. There's a lot of male anglers as well as very good female anglers out there.
Yeah,
So definitely check that out.
yeah, definitely. I mean, Christine Fisher just cashed her check last year at $35,000 or something. She,
Right.
I think she's caught a couple of fish.
Just a
Um,
couple.
just a couple. We historically, some of the bigger events, obviously Strictly Sail, our sponsor, those events will have a lot of prizes, a lot of really good door prizes. And for anyone that's not familiar with the kayak angling, when we say door prizes or prizes at the end, it's not just the trophy in the first place, or we'll pay out top 10%. So if we have 100, it'll pay out top 10 places. But we also give away prizes. Just maybe you blanked, maybe you skunked for the day and you show up to the weigh-in, and we give a little ticket, a little raffle ticket, and then we call out the numbers. And, you might walk away with it. We gave away like a rod locker one year. What I was going to say is like Strictly Sail, that one, to kick off the season, April 23rd, 24th. And then June 4th down at Raccoon Creek, Dustin Hoy, man, Dustin and Bobby and that whole team down there, they put on quite the show. And he has all of his vendors will pitch in. And one of the things I've noticed, we hate to blame COVID for a lot of stuff, but it's not a stretch. It's not a lie to say when COVID happened, some of the, it tough business for everybody, Right. And so some of the prizes, some of the free prizes and sponsorships for local trails, it was kind of difficult. And both of those companies that I just named came through big time the last 2 years, and I expect it to be exactly the same again this year. I know one of the events we're going to have some ego nets. So I have a retractable ego net, and then then a shorter one, and then some grips. So those will be some good prizes. And then I know I said not everyone gets a trophy or money, but we're switching to the catch trophies this year. So anyone that's been fishing Bkft in the past, that they got the 1985 bowling trophy, the plastic participation trophy, those are gone for this year anyway. And we're going to have those catch trophies. So it's basically it's like a Catch X, the aluminum board that's, cut down to size for first, second, third place. And then the name of the event will be on there. And then we're going to put, once the trophies come in, the first round of them, we'll put some photos up on social media, kind of promote that a little bit. But so, I mean, if you told me, oh, you get this much for first place or whatever, man, I want that trophy. For me, I'm a sucker for a good trophy.
And Catch makes a really good trophy.
Yeah. They have so many different designs now, and they're kind of evolving where, I hope they continue to run with it. They started out with KBF doing that. And since we are a KBF partner, they allowed us to get involved with that. So I'm excited to see them. I think they're going to be red. So, Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail. So go Bucks. I think they're going to be red, and they'll be, that's the hardware that I think I'm gonna really want.
Catch is also doing the trophies for the kayak division for the Lake Erie Walleye Fall Brawl. Nice. Custom designed. I'm kind of leaving it up to Duke, letting him in the team design something. They're gonna do like a pedestal trophy for first place, and then probably like second through fifth. Get some other trophies. Be really cool, something unique, and something to kind of commemorate the inaugural year of the kayak division. Yeah. In the largest walleye tournament in the world.
Really?
Yes, sir. Over 12,000 entries, I believe, on average.
Oh my goodness.
$500,000 in prizes.
I heard that it was funny that you asked me about my favorite fish. A buddy was telling me that Ohio doesn't have an official fish for the state because there was something with the lawmakers where they were so like one of them was like it has to be a walleye, and then it has to be a smallmouth, and they couldn't. So there's no. What do you? It should be. You think it should be a walleye? Who am I asking?
What is the walleye capital of the world?
Yeah, so walleye should be the Ohio fish.
Walleye should definitely be the Ohio fish. Smallmouth can be the runner-up. They're great too.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that we drop a walleye on New Year's Eve in Port Clinton instead of a smallmouth or a ball.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I'm so, like, right in the middle, I'm telling you. I don't know what's going on down here. What do you do? What?
They have this huge walleye that they hang from the sky, and on New Year's Eve at midnight, the walleye drops to commemorate the new year.
Oh, that is cool. For a minute, I thought you meant like a real walleye. I was like, PETA's gonna. You can't drop fish from the sky, so it's not. It's not real. It's like the New Year's Eve ball. I got it.
Yeah, it's about the size of a car.
Oh wow.
I'll send you a video.
Oh, I was about to say I'm gonna go look that up, but okay, you can send me the video. And you go there? You like go to watch that? Yeah.
Yeah, COVID put a damper on it, but it's back up and running. I think last year was the first year they came back with it.
How long
It's
have
going
they
to
been
be
doing
bigger
that?
than ever this year.
Okay.
How long have they been doing it?
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. It's probably made of aluminum. Duke probably made it.
Probably.
No, he'd make a smallmouth for us.
I don't know.
I'm not even trying to fight for like either one. I don't. Yeah.
Those walleye have been calling Duke's name.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's the great thing about Lake Erie, though. Doesn't matter whether you love walleye or smallmouth. You can go out on a day, target them both, catch them both. Cleveland Fishing Company actually has a. It's not really a tournament. It's kind of like a competition going on. It's called the Gold, Silver, Bronze Challenge. So you go out, you catch a walleye because they're gold, a steelhead because they're silver, and a bronze smallmouth because they're bronze. And on the same day, doesn't matter if you're in the same spot, just has to be a Lake Erie tributary or somewhere on Lake Erie. And they give you this, gold, silver, bronze sticker to put on your car.
Oh wow. So if I see one of those while I'm up there, I'll know what that is now.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I do not. There's only a handful of guys that do. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but it's a tall order. Yeah. You can go out and you can catch plenty of walleye, catch a steelhead, catch plenty of small walleye, catch a smallmouth. But to catch all three in the same time on the same day is a little bit of a challenge. And honestly, I'll just be honest, I haven't put in the work.
Okay.
That's why I don't have that sticker, because I could do it. I'm sure I could find them somehow. It might take me a few days. But if I go fish here, drive down the street an hour or so, I think I could make it happen.
Yeah. Well, you're a busy guy, though. You already said 20, 25 bookings. And, you're pretty much fishing from, maybe all year, but this time of year it starts to pick up probably April through, how late?
Well, the fall brawl ends December 2nd, so I'll be booking trips all the way through December. Of course, at some point, dry suit season does come back. So everybody will be required to be in dry suits to come out. I don't have them yet, but I do plan on having some dry suits for clients to rent out during dry suit season in the fall, especially to compete for the fall brawl, to win that kayak.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look into that some more. So many things.
I can send you some details.
I bet
I'll drop them down in the link in the, I'll drop them down in the description as well.
There you go, man.
Well, hey, Billy, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, no problem. I love it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to fishing soon.
All right, man. I'll see you.
All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the show. Don't forget to leave us a review and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. We will see you on the next episode. And remember, for me, fishing is life.